Anna watched Jackson as they walked along the winding paths of Lake Monona Park, their fingers perfectly intertwined. Sunlight filtered through the leaves, casting playful patterns on the ground, and the distant hum of the city across the water felt like it belonged to another world. Jackson stopped, turned to her, and gave her that smile, the one that always made her feel like she was the only person who truly mattered. "You're the best thing that's ever happened to me," he murmured, his voice warm, tender, filled with unspoken promises. Anna's cheeks flushed, and a light laugh escaped her lips. Her heart swelled. "I know, Jackson. You make me happy just by being here." He pulled her close, and for a moment, everything else faded. Nothing could touch them. Nothing could break the quiet magic of that afternoon. Their wedding had felt like pure magic, too. Anna remembered walking down the aisle, heart pounding, the soft rustle of her gown blending with the gentle strains of the string quartet. Jackson's eyes were locked on hers, full of admiration, making her feel cherished, almost regal. Cream and blush flowers surrounded them, and the music carried promises of a life filled with hope and happiness. At first, life together seemed perfect. Jackson was attentive, thoughtful, showing his love in ways both grand and subtle. Anna felt protected, complete, certain she had made the right choice. But over time, cracks began to appear. Jackson came home tense and withdrawn. Anna tried to lift his spirits with little surprises and planned outings, but nothing seemed to reach him. "Not now, Anna," he said one evening, barely glancing her way. "I'm exhausted. Don't you see I work all day? I just need to rest." Her chest tightened with guilt and worry. She told herself it was just stress, that he needed time to unwind. The change was slow, almost imperceptible at first. Jackson began criticizing everything, from how she arranged the living room to the way she spent a few minutes on her phone. "Why do you always leave things lying around?" he snapped one afternoon, slamming his keys on the counter. "This place looks like a storage unit." Anna promised she'd fix it later, trying to calm him, but his anger only grew. "You can't do anything right," he muttered again and again, each repetition cutting deeper into her spirit. At home, she started shrinking into herself, feeling that nothing she did was ever enough. In public, he was charming, attentive, and protective. At home, his words left invisible bruises on her heart. She questioned herself constantly. Was she overreacting? Was this just a rough patch? She clung to the hope that he still loved her, even as his actions suggested otherwise. Then one afternoon, a lingering unease drove her to an old phone tucked in a forgotten drawer. Her chest tightened as she scrolled through the messages, flirtatious exchanges, promises, intimate trust, between him and women she didn't know. Her hands trembled, and tears fell onto the screen. "No, this can't be real," she whispered. "He wouldn't do this to me." The key turning in the lock made her panic. She hastily hid the phone, forcing herself to compose her face. Jackson walked in, unaware of her inner turmoil. "Still cleaning," he snapped. "Seems like you do nothing all day." Anna swallowed, steadying her voice. "I just wanted everything ready for you, Jackson." He rolled his eyes without looking at her. "Nothing's ever good enough. But you can try to do better." Then he left, leaving her alone in the silent house. She collapsed to the floor, chest tight, heart splintering. The love she'd believed in now felt like a cruel mirage. Confronting him seemed impossible. Fear rooted her to the spot. Fear of disappointing Frederick, his father. Fear of judgment. Fear of being seen as a failed wife. She reached for her phone and called her childhood friend, Chloe. "Anna, you have to confront him." "This isn't right," Chloe said firmly. Anna's voice was barely a whisper. "I know, but what if Frederick finds out? He'd never forgive me. He always says marriage is forever. I don't want to disappoint him." Chloe's voice softened. "And what about you? You can't live like this forever. You can't waste your life because you're afraid of what others think." Anna stared out the window at the golden evening light over Lake Monona. She didn't answer. Silence became her only companion. Deep down, she knew something had to change, but for now, she could only cradle her own pain, trying to breathe through it. The dream that once brought her joy had become a suffocating cage. The next morning, Anna woke early, noticing the empty side of the bed. Jackson had left without a word. She rose quietly, donning her coat, moving through her morning routine with meticulous precision. Every object reminded her of the life that was slowly suffocating her. "He's just stressed," she repeated, clinging to the lie. As she polished the windows, her phone rang. "Chloe." Anna hesitated, glancing toward the door as if Jackson might appear. "Anna." "Finally. Want to go out today? There's a new State Street festival. I think you'd love it," Chloe said. "I don't know. Jackson doesn't like me going out alone. He says it's dangerous," Anna replied. "You can't keep living like this. He's not your owner. You deserve your own life, your own time with friends," Chloe pressed. "I know, but he worries, and there's so much to do here. If it's not perfect, he'll get mad," Anna said softly. "That's not living. Think about it. I'll call you later." Anna hung up, a hollow emptiness blooming in her chest. She looked around their home. The kitchen spotless, the living room arranged just so, the bedroom neat, but all she felt was suffocating loneliness. That evening, Jackson returned, indifferent to her efforts. He sat at the table, flipping through the newspaper, never meeting her eyes. "Did you fix the bedroom?" "It was a mess this morning," he asked, his tone more inspection than concern. "Yes, everything's done. Your suit is hung, the shirt's washed," she replied, setting the dinner plates carefully. "That's the least you could do. You don't work, don't pay for anything, the least you can do is keep the house in order," he said sharply. Anna swallowed hard, the words cutting deep. She sank into her chair, almost invisible. Over the weekend, they went to dinner at Frederick's. Jackson wore his charming smile, gripping her arm to present the illusion of a perfect couple. "Smile," he whispered. "I don't want him thinking you can't behave in public." Frederick's handshake was firm, his gaze sharp, almost accusing. "Welcome, daughter-in-law," he said. "A wife should know how to care for her home and her husband." "Right, Jackson?" "Of course, Dad." "Anna's doing well, still room to improve, but she's trying," Jackson replied smoothly. Anna felt scrutinized under every gaze. Standing to help with dessert, Frederick's eyes narrowed. "Look at Jackson," he said. "An exemplary wife. I hope she stays devoted and obedient." Jackson nodded. Anna lowered her gaze, holding back tears that burned behind her eyes. The drive home was quiet, but the tension between them was thick, a heavy weight pressing down from the rearview mirror. "You could have behaved better, Anna. My dad notices everything." "I don't want him thinking I'm soft on you," Jackson said, cold and clipped. Anna's shoulders sagged. "I tried, Jackson, but he's so hard on me. I don't know how to please him. It's simple. Just do your part." "Don't overthink it," he replied, dismissive. She nodded, the weight of their combined expectations pressing down like a stone on her chest, making it hard to breathe. That night, while Jackson slept, Anna lay awake staring at the ceiling. Thoughts of Chloe's invitation to the State Street Festival twisted through her mind, a stark reminder of a life she had long abandoned. She felt trapped, suffocating in the golden cage of her marriage. Is this love or a prison? She wondered silently. The next morning, she cautiously brought up the idea of working, of carving out a life that was truly hers. Jackson laughed, sharp and incredulous. "Work? Why? You have everything here, house, food, clean clothes. What more do you want? Why do you need money?" Anna's voice wavered, but she held firm. "I want to feel like I mattered, Jackson. I want something of my own, something I don't have to depend on anyone for." "You don't need that. What you need is to take care of the house and me. Don't start with weird ideas, okay?" She fell silent, defeated, staring out the window at neighbors walking dogs, friends laughing in cafes, people living lives full of color while she remained trapped in her gray, loveless routine. The dream that once made her heart soar had become a cage, and she saw no key to unlock it. A few days later, the living room was alive with laughter, clinking plates, and the soft sparkle of wine glasses catching the chandelier's light. Another family dinner at Frederick's, another event she endured countless times, but tonight was different. Jackson was livelier than usual, drinking more freely than she had ever seen, telling jokes and stories that drew genuine laughter from the guests. Anna sat beside him, smiling only when prompted, keeping herself small, as she had long learned to do. Frederick presided at the head of the table, his sharp gaze sweeping over every detail. He interrupted Jackson mid-story, raising his glass. "Family is everything," he declared, his voice commanding, authoritative rather than warm. "It's our duty to keep it strong and respectable." Glasses clinked. Anna lifted hers hesitantly, hand trembling. Jackson, lost in the warmth of alcohol, raised his glass toward her, a smile on his lips, but it didn't reach his eyes. "To family and to my dear wife, who does everything to keep us together, even when it's not enough," he announced loudly, ensuring every guest heard. Anna froze, glass poised midair. Nervous laughter rippled around the table. Uneasy glances were exchanged. Chloe, seated across from her, pressed her lips together, frustration and disbelief etched across her face. "Have you been to that new Madison wine bar? I hear they have amazing wines," Chloe offered quickly, trying to change the subject. Jackson ignored her. Leaning toward Anna, breath heavy with alcohol, he said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "I have to admit, Anna, you have talent. It's impressive how you pretend to be the perfect wife. But you know what? Life would be much better without you." The air seemed to vanish. Silence fell like a heavy curtain. Anna's chest tightened, heart hammering in disbelief. Chloe's eyes widened. Frederick looked satisfied, as if some long-held truth had finally been spoken aloud. Other guests murmured quietly, avoiding Jackson's gaze. Chloe jumped up, furious. "Jackson, that's completely out of line. How could you say something like that?" Jackson laughed dismissively, as if it were all a joke. Chloe, don't get upset. I'm just being honest." "Anna knows it too," he said, expecting her to bow her head as always. But something inside Anna snapped. Years of swallowed words, endured humiliation, and silent nights erupted into a hot, fiery anger that filled her chest. Without thinking, she spoke. "No, Jackson. I don't know anymore, and I'm done pretending I agree with you." Jackson stopped laughing, stunned. Frederick's brow rose in irritation. "Anna, control yourself. This is neither the time nor the place. Get a grip," he barked. She ignored him, eyes locked on Jackson. "You've spent years making me feel worthless, like I'm nothing. But I'm not what you say I am. I'm strong, and I deserve more than this life with you." Jackson opened his mouth, but no words came. He looked small, powerless, unable to comprehend what was happening. The guests watched in stunned silence, some shocked, others pretending they hadn't heard. Chloe stepped forward, placing a supportive hand on Anna's shoulder. "She's right," Chloe said firmly. "You deserve so much more than this." Frederick slammed his hand on the table, trying to regain control. "This is madness, Anna. You're embarrassing the family. Sit down and be quiet." Anna didn't move. For the first time, she felt the power of her own voice. Her gaze met Frederick's, unwavering. "No, Frederick. I'm done being silent. I won't live by your rules or Jackson's. I deserve to be happy, and what I have here is not happiness. This family where women have no voice is not my life." She turned to Jackson, now diminished and unsteady. "I'm done. I want a divorce, and I want it soon." Jackson tried to reclaim control, standing, voice shaking. "You can't do this. You have nowhere to go, no money, nothing. You need me." Anna laughed, a bitter, liberating sound. "You're wrong, Jackson. I can do this. I don't need you. I can manage on my own. You're throwing everything away. You'll never be happy without the family, without the name I gave you." Frederick shouted, veins red with fury. Anna met his anger with calm resolve. "Happy, Frederick? I was never happy with you, and now I'm going to find my own happiness." She grabbed her coat, glancing at the remaining guests, who now seemed small and irrelevant. "Thank you for dinner," she said evenly, "but I think it's time for me to go." Chloe followed her to the door, tears of pride in her eyes. "You were amazing, Anna. I'm so proud of you." Anna smiled genuinely for the first time in years. "I just want to be free, Chloe. I just want to be me. You were the only one in this family who saw the real me and always stood by me." Outside, the cool evening air brushed against her face. For the first time in years, she felt like she was truly breathing. She walked to her car, heart pounding with fear and excitement, knowing the road ahead would be difficult, but she could no longer live trapped. The next day, she arrived at a small law office, determined to start the divorce process. Sitting in the waiting room, her hands trembled, but her heart carried a spark of hope. When the attorney called her in, she took a deep breath and stepped forward. "Good morning, ma'am. How can I help you?" he asked. "I want a divorce, and I want to start as soon as possible," Anna said, voice steady and strong. The attorney nodded, jotting notes. "We'll need documents and personal information, but we can get started today." Anna exhaled slowly, a wave of strength washing over her. "I know it's going to be hard, but I'm ready." For the first time in years, she felt in control of her life. She wasn't the woman who had cowered in fear. She had broken the chains, and nothing could stop her. The divorce process was longer and more painful than she had imagined. Jackson, desperate to maintain control, contested every clause, every request, every decision. Weeks stretched into months, but Anna refused to back down. She had found her voice and would not be silenced again. One afternoon, her attorney flipped through a thick stack of papers, exhaustion etched across his face. "Anna, Jackson is challenging the property division. He claims you're not entitled to half the house because you didn't contribute financially." Anna pressed her hands together, frustration boiling. "I contributed in other ways. I ran the household, supported him, was there for him. Doesn't that count?" "It counts," the attorney said carefully, "but not everyone sees it that way. We'll need evidence, witnesses, maybe statements from friends and neighbors." Anna exhaled slowly, feeling the weight settle heavily on her shoulders. Yet support began to appear in unexpected ways. Chloe immediately offered to testify. Others, long silent out of fear of Jackson or Frederick, began to speak up. "You're not alone, Anna. I'll talk to more people. We'll make sure they hear you," Chloe said over the phone, voice unwavering. Messages poured in from former coworkers, neighbors, even distant acquaintances, all willing to help. Breaking the silence had inspired others to step forward, lending their voices to hers. Anna began reclaiming her independence, one small step at a time. She took a temporary job at Willow Boutique, folding clothes and helping customers with a quiet confidence that felt foreign but exhilarating. Each paycheck was a small victory, a tangible reminder that she could manage on her own. She started dreaming again, planning a life that belonged entirely to her. "I can do this. I can manage," she repeated like a mantra. She also returned to the passions she had abandoned, painting, reading, small acts that reignited parts of herself she thought were lost forever. One gray afternoon, as she sipped coffee at Capitol Cafe, a man approached with a warm smile and gentle eyes. Their conversation was easy, punctuated with laughter, and Anna felt a moment of joy that was wholly hers. She covered her mouth to stifle a laugh, eyes sparkling with a light Jackson hadn't allowed her to feel in years. Meanwhile, Jackson's life had become a chaos of his own making. Empty whiskey bottles littered the counters, mixed with unpaid bills and scattered betting slips. The air reeked of stale alcohol and damp clothes. He downed the last of a bitter drink, exhaling a dry, defeated sigh. "Congratulations, idiot. Look at what you've accomplished," he muttered. His phone buzzed, another call from Frederick. Even a year later, his father still tried to control him. "Honey, this is unsustainable. I talked to the bank manager. If you show up tomorrow in a decent suit and with some sense, you might still save your job. Or do you want to end up on the street like a bum?" The voicemail warned. Jackson slammed the phone down. His promising career had evaporated along with his marriage. Nights of gambling and drinking had drained his savings and destroyed his reputation. Friends had abandoned him, leaving him alone in a dark, spiraling world. A light drizzle fell over Madison as Jackson wandered into Capitol Cafe, disheveled, a stained jacket clinging to his shoulders. That's when he saw her. Anna sat at a corner table, wrapped in a stylish coat, laughing at something Elijah whispered. Her eyes shone like sunlight breaking through clouds, a brightness Jackson hadn't seen in years. Elijah leaned close, whispering something that made her cover her mouth to stifle laughter. The moment was intimate, effortless, natural. Jackson froze, muttering to himself. She looks different, But even that didn't capture it. She radiated strength and wholeness, the things he had long ignored. Her hand, adorned with a simple gold ring, rested in Elijah's. The same hand Jackson had once taken for granted now reflected her autonomy, her reclaimed life. A waiter, sensing Jackson's discomfort, approached. "Can I help you, sir?" Looking for a table. Anna's eyes met his briefly, and for the first time, she didn't shrink away. Recognition met him, calm and unafraid. She gestured subtly toward Elijah. "We'll move to that table by the patio," she whispered, serene. Jackson watched them rise and walk away, not with anger or resentment, just composed, self-assured indifference. He slumped onto a bar stool, ordering the cheapest whiskey, drinking alone as the world moved on without him. Frederick's warning echoed in his mind. "Careful, son. A woman like her doesn't wait forever." He had once laughed at the thought. Now, bitterness mingled with harsh alcohol in his mouth. Outside, Anna and Elijah walked under the gentle drizzle, the wet city reflecting shimmering lights from the street lamps. They paused beneath a marquee. Elijah draped his coat over her shoulders in a simple, protective gesture. She adjusted it with a smile, and together they disappeared into the night, leaving Jackson behind. He stared at his empty glass, seeing a stranger in the reflection. Hollow eyes, tired skin, a man left behind by his own choices. A single tear traced down his cheek, too late for regrets, too late for change. Around him, life went on. Couples laughed, friends toasted. The world continued without pause. Anna had learned a truth Jackson never would. You are not alone. You deserve more than scraps of love or hollow promises. You deserve respect, peace, and happiness. No matter how impossible it seems, there is strength inside you. You can start over, rebuild, and create a life entirely your own. Choose yourself every day, because you deserve the best. The path may be difficult, but taking the first step changes everything. You just heard this one from Stories by Sue. If it resonated, don't forget to like and subscribe. What are your thoughts? Share them in the comments. I'd love to hear. Thanks for watching.